Hi, everybody. It is Hope. I am back with another episode of The Main Line. So I am so excited. Tonight's show is going to be really, really cool, a little different. We're going to talk about politics. So today was super exciting. We welcomed a new administration into the White House. We are so excited, especially for our vice president, a Black woman. I think it's just so amazing that there are a bunch of little girls who were just like me, watching people on TV and wondering if we could do the same because we didn't see it. And now we finally got to see somebody who looks just like us doing really amazing things. So I am so proud to welcome Kamala to the White House and President Biden to the White House. So I want to bring on our first guest. So we're going to have two people join us tonight from the Prince George's County Young Democrats. Juwan Blocker, can I get you up on the stage with me? Hi, Juwan. How are you?
How are you? Hope? Thank you so much for having me, and good evening to all of you viewers.
Yes. I'm so excited to talk about local politics, to talk about the national political landscape, what it means for millennials to be involved with politics, and just in general, how politics, especially on the local level, we can make a lot of change here. And a lot of people don't really understand how much their voice actually matters. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself first off and all the amazing things that you've done, because you are quite accomplished in your own right. And I just like talking about the representation that Kamala has brought to every young Black little girl. I feel like you represent the same thing for Black men. So I can't wait for everyone to hear your story.
Well, Hope, I really appreciate it. Juwan Blocker, born in DC, but raised in Prince George's County, 22 years of age. I am a rising senior history and government major at Bowie State University, but I'm a little more non-traditional. In 2016, I served on the Prince George's County School Board as the school system's only student school board member. And then from there, I decided at the age of 20 to actually run for the full term, which is 4-year seat. I won my primary election, but lost in the general. And then immediately after that, while I was still a student at Bowie State, I decided to join the Maryland Army National Guard. So I'm in the Guard. I also work for the Comptroller of the state of Maryland. I'm actually the youngest Black male in his administration. And then my part-time job outside of military and the Comptroller's office is that I serve as the executive director for a nonprofit called Maryland Black Mayors Incorporated, which is an organization that represents elected, appointed, and retired Black mayors across the state. But most importantly, I am just an advocate, a young gun, if you will, trying to make sure that we get more young people involved and engaged, specifically at the local level, but then also at every level of politics and civic engagement.
How did you get into this? How did you realize the type of impact that you could make even at a young age?
Sure. To be honest with you, for a long period of time, I was peer pressured, sometimes bullied, and I wanted to be like everybody else, right? At one point I was fitting the negative stereotypes and perspective that we see in the news of specifically Black men of color. And then, I got involved in poetry. I went to a performing arts middle school. And then from there, I went to Parkdale High School. And there I met two mentors. One, Clinton Smith, who's an accomplished writer and author. He has a couple of TED Talks. And then also Neville Adams, who was still an English teacher at Parkdale High School. And essentially, they have this organization called Lyrical Storm. And so Lyrical Storm is a competitive spoken word poetry group. And, one day, he pulled me to the side. He said, maybe you should try poetry. I was kind of laughing at the time because I hadn't written poetry since I was in middle school. And from there, they gave me an opportunity to learn how to basically strengthen my writing, my craft. And one thing that I learned about poetry, spoken word specifically, is that it gives you an opportunity to not only speak your truth and define your narrative, but it also gives you an opportunity to advocate for others that are around you that for whatever reason feel voiceless. And one
Yes.
thing we continue to take away from that is the fact that if you don't define who you are in your own narrative, then society's already done that.
Yeah.
And so, from there, there was an opportunity to run for student government, and, the rest is history.
That's amazing. I mean, when you talk about poetry, I always talk about how musical artists get the opportunity to really express themselves
Yep.
in a way that is more accepted than, even writers sometimes and poets. You guys, you get the opportunity to really say how you feel and people will receive it versus, just us regular people here. We can't just say anything. We have to have the political correct version always. You can't go write a Facebook caption talking about all your feelings
Sure.
all the time. So I think that that's a really great outlet, especially for, I think, Black men who don't always have outlets to be able to express themselves. Which is why I think we see a lot of our youth turning to like rap and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cry for help and for expression. So I think that that's really amazing that you took that and it has fueled you to where you are today. And that's something I always talk about is using your strengths, because those things, those talents that are placed in you for a reason.
Sure.
And using them to propel you to the next stage in life. So I think that's amazing. But I see we have Martin Mitchell from PG County Young Dems in the building. I'm going to get him on stage with us as well. Hi, Martin.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. So Juwan just gave his amazing background, super impressive. I mean, you are still in college. I mean, and you have accomplished more than some people could even imagine. So I just cannot wait to see what is going to happen, in the next 30, 40 years, all the amazing things that you will do. But yes, Martin, tell us a little bit about yourself. And again, another very accomplished young man.
Thank you very much, Hope. Yes, Juwan, he is great. Of course, everyone knows he's great, and I'm glad he was able to join us today. So my name is Martin. I'm president of PGCYD, Prince George's County Young Democrats, and for me, I'm a Laurel native, so Prince George's is my home. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm very Prince George's specific, and very Laurel proud. And other than that, I'm a father. So I have twin kings. They're 4 years old, going on 5. So I'm very excited to watch them, continue to grow. And other than that, in my free time, I coach. I coach wrestling, and I have for the last 15 years. So I love inspiring people, motivating people, and I believe in the utilitarian principle of the greater good. So anyone who knows me, pretty much could say that. So,
Yeah.
and if they can't, I'm sure we can have a conversation. I'm just that type of person. Yeah, Jawan was waiting for it. Exactly. But, I would say I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, so sometimes that's the toughest thing. So.
Yeah, awesome traits. You guys are both doing really great things. I was asking Jawan a little bit about, why he feels that local participation is important. But yeah, I'd love for us to kind of just have some dialogue around that. And I might even jump off the stage for a second and let you guys kind of talk about some initiatives that you guys are doing, and then, about kind of local impact. And I'll come back up and join the conversation in a little.
Okay, sure. Why not? I'll start, I guess, Jawan. So, of course, community engagement is, very big to me. And, I know it is to you. It's a principle to you, community service. It's just something you grew up on. And one of the things that we love to do, community cleanups. We love to do canned food drives, homeless drives, clothing drives. We recently just did a luggage drive. And, I'm so glad I have Jawan on here because he could talk just a little bit more from a programming aspect. As a VP of programming for PGCYD, he's helped over the last I think about 10 months. It felt like a lot longer. We did 31, 32 events. Yep. So we've been rolling, and I'm very thankful to have Juwan with me. And other than that, my thought is it's very important to get involved at the local level because you teach people how to be leaders. You teach people how to be true public servants. Yes, we want good intentional policy, but we also want a man or a woman of the people. We want someone who is going to stand amongst the people. And I think all of us share that same principle, and a lot of us in PGCYD have that same energy, and I'll say millennial spirit, millennial Gen Z spirit. So, of course, Juwan, I've been doing a lot of talking.
No, you're fine, Martin. Look, I feel the same way. For the viewers and those that don't know, as Martin has just already stated, just piggyback off what he said, Prince George's County Young Democrats specifically is the largest partisan youth organization in Prince George's County. And what I will say is that, there with any organization, right, there's always ups and downs. You have different leadership when we have elections. And, while I'm here, I just wanted to commend Martin. I've been involved with PGCYD on and off since I was 16, except I'm now 22. And I mean, I just have to take my hat off if I had one on to Martin. He's been one of the most active presidents of the organization that I've seen. He's very focused on the community, and he makes sure that we're pulling everybody to be a part of not only the organization, but then also politics as a whole. I think that it's easy, right? It's easy to get those individuals that are already civically minded and engaged to be involved in politics and the organization. It's even harder to get to essentially convince those who really don't care because they don't necessarily see the impact of politics directly impacting them, whether or not they know it or not, to be involved. And Martin's leadership has been able to touch young people that I couldn't even touch by getting them involved in politics. And one thing about the organization is that we're not solely just focused on partisan politics. We want to get every young person involved and engaged in Prince George's County because they're not the leaders of tomorrow. They're the leaders of today, and it's important that we have elected officials at the local, state, and federal level who are mentoring and helping our young people out now so that we can be more successful when it comes to community service. And that's something that me and Martin are both about.
And I think to piggyback off of what you said, Juwan, one of the things that is important is instilling it in these young, as you said, not just Democrats, but young Prince Georgians, because of course we welcome all people to help out with community service. Of course, for membership, the requirements so that you're under the age of 40, Democratic. But at the end of the day, if you're not, we're willing to still work with you. We definitely don't turn down things that are good for the community. And I think that, it instills at an early age camaraderie, even though, you might disagree on certain viewpoints or, how you get there. At the end of the day, compromise and finding a common goal, common good is important. And I know that one of the things that I'm inspired about is that we get a lot of, high school students. And, I want to continue not only to get high school students more involved in the process, but even, middle school students. Because the thought is some of the policies that these legislators legislate on every day will affect them. They're just not really an active part in the process because, one, they don't know a lot about what is going on sometimes because it's not targeted towards them. But as you know, you were the student school board member. You have a wealth of knowledge on, all things, that are going on and have went on in the Prince George's County public schools. So with that being said, of course, we need more students like you that are engaged, civically engaged, that can speak up and, be a voice for the young people, like at Bowie State, of course. That's one of the another thing we share, Bowie State alum. So, you're currently, at Bowie State, a Bulldog. I graduated from Bowie State, and we just had that HBCU connection. So that's really all I wanted to add.
Sure. And I'm curious too if Hope can come back on and give us her perspective
Oh yeah, of course,
on
Yeah,
of course.
and young people.
Yes,
definitely.
one of our new
You
members.
know, yes.
Here we go.
Yes.
It's funny because before I got into cannabis, I was not very politically engaged. I'll be honest. I didn't really think a lot of things affected me, nor did I pay attention to a lot of things. And then when I got into cannabis, as I'm sure everyone who's watching this knows, and if you don't, cannabis right now is extremely politically charged. The entire industry is very highly regulated at the state level, and at the federal level, it is still illegal. It's still a controlled substance, a Schedule I controlled substance. So there's a lot of red tape. You're dealing with a lot of legislators, and this is how you can make sure that your business is positioned for success in the future. So for me, kind of getting into politics when I got into cannabis, I was 22 when I decided to pursue my license. So, and I had no idea how things worked. I didn't understand that a lot of people had lobbyists and that you could really, not necessarily pay to have your interests move forward, but to an extent, there's a pay to play element. There's a lot of different things that go on behind the scenes on why somebody might be pushing a specific bill or not pushing it or not, so I had to learn all of this stuff so young. And I had to insert myself in rooms where I probably didn't feel the most comfortable all the time. I just was around a lot of people that understood the landscape better and everything. But I quickly realized that these legislators want to hear from us. They want to hear from their constituents. They definitely want to hear from young people. They want to make sure that your interests are being heard and met. Because one, they know that you're the person that's going to vote for them for the next 10, 15 years as they try and maintain their positions. I just realized that at the local level, there's a lot of influence and power that trickles up. It's more of a trickle up effect than a trickle down effect. Even when we talk directly about cannabis, when we talk about federal legalization, the way that states legalize cannabis will have a lot of impact on how federally cannabis is regulated and shaped. We're even seeing now, the MORE Act has been introduced, and a lot of people were, activists were excited about it, and then it came back that they put in this provision that pretty much would block any cannabis offender. So if you've ever been arrested for any reason for cannabis, it would block you from being involved in the industry. So, from a state level, that doesn't make sense. Most states have social equity programs, and they literally put in ways to ensure that those people have a place in the industry. So it literally contradicts a lot of the state level things. But a lot of those social equity programs started at a local level. And they started from advocates like myself or some of my board members. I'm on a nonprofit called Supernova Women based out of Oakland. Supernova has done so much work to ensure that there are social equity programs with funding that can actually provide opportunities for people that fit the social equity narrative. So I look at that and I say, okay, well, have we not started at the local level, making sure that, as much as like at a city local level, making sure that this program is in place. The state of California may not have adopted a social equity narrative. And if the state of California didn't do it, which is the biggest cannabis economy that we have in the US right now, at about I think we're at about $3 billion in California a year. That's a lot for just the state in one industry. So they have a lot of impact, and I think that will help shape the federal law. So that's just one example at how, local politics will make a big impact on everything. And yes, that's a cannabis example, but you can do that too for whatever your interest is, whether it is a career interest, a local community interest, whatever it may be. You can start something really big, even on a small scale in your local community. So I'm super excited to get more involved with Prince George's County Young Dems. We have, I'm born and raised in PG. Uh,
Hey.
yeah, always have loved and repped Prince George's County. Even when I moved away, I graduated from Spelman College, was an econ major. My dad is a BSU alum.
Hey, there you go.
So
Hey,
yes,
dog.
yes. My family, we have a building named after us on campus, the Wiseman Building.
Oh,
That's,
wow. Wow.
yeah. So
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So BSU is in my heart, even though I did not attend. Definitely a huge HBCU advocate. And I'm just so excited to see, there's so many of us doing really awesome things right now in politics. So yeah, I think that the biggest thing is exposure. So, because like I said, I had no idea that I could even talk to a state delegate or a senator. I didn't even know that that was like a possibility. I had no idea I could literally call their office and get in for a meeting. Like I didn't know those things existed. So, is that some of the work that you guys are really doing, trying to just expose people to the opportunities they have?
Yes. I guess I'll go and then I'll let Juwan follow up. Hope, I wanted to say, of course, I felt just like you did when I entered, the political realm or public service space. Many people feel like they don't know, their place, and it's uncomfortable, and it's very impersonal. And what I say is, I'm an anime fan, so if you've ever seen Lupin the Third, I say like politics is like the gentleman burglar. Um,
Mhm.
so basically, the story of like Arsene Lupin, but basically you could be around someone 20 times and still not know who they truly are,
Yes.
because they hold this perception, or they carry these different hats, and sometimes that is difficult. So in the political space, a lot of times I say you have to really know where home base is. You could have a broad network, but you have to know where your home base is. And your home base isn't people who always agree with you. You need to have people who would check you. And I was really happy when I became involved with the Young Dems, because one of the things it did for me was it allowed me a talking point when I got into the room with these senators and delegates. I could say, hey, I'm a college student at Louis State. I'm a new member of PGCYD. So, like, it gave me something to actually talk about when I first, like, walked up to them.
Mhm.
Or, they walked up to me, or whatever, the exchange was. And one of the big things I think you had hit on was, what brought you to kind of figuring out more about politics and just spending more time in the space, and just becoming more knowledgeable about politics, and just civically engaged. Um, One of the things for me was, of course, cannabis advocacy. I've been an MD Normal member for quite a long time. Definitely a cannabis advocate. I even interned for MPP a while back in college. So definitely always been an advocate, and I even know tons of patients, and I would say a lot of them, surprisingly enough, are like veterans. And one of the
Yes.
first stories I heard from a veteran when it was legalized in DC was like she was so happy that it happened, because now she can use alternatives legally, because the opioids that she was being prescribed, and more so being pushed to take over a more holistic treatment. She said it was damaging her body. Like she was having organs fail, and things of that nature. So I was like, wow, I'm glad you really got that. But of course, many stories of people where having access changed their life. And the way they go about their life. And for some people, it's definitely beneficial, more productive, and just to kill the stigma of being a lazy stoner. Like you
Yeah.
can be someone who consumes cannabis in whichever form you do, and still be a productive person, still be a productive member of society. So just changing the narrative and the connotation behind it, and that's one of the things that, of course, decrim and legalization has done over the years. It's changed the narrative. Of course, you know when black and brown communities were dying, it was a crime. lock up the drug dealers, but now I say lock up the, the pharmacists, lock up, the congressman. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying that now because at the end of the day, now that it hits home in white communities a lot harder, it's now seen as a mental, health issue or, a substance abuse issue. And, really it should have been treated like that all along because, there used to be a prohibition on, alcohol, as we all know, and many other things. But we've advanced as a civilization, and I hope we continue advancing. I know Maryland is, Maryland has hope. As a lot of our neighbors are, doing good things, and I know you mentioned the social equity piece. Like, I don't think you give yourself enough kudos on the back for being, one of the first in the state. And I dare not say one of the youngest because that's so cliche. Just one of the first to, one of the first to do it. Who cares about the age? And of course, proud that you are, black sister, someone of color. Of course, when you're talking about the social equity piece, making sure that, everyone gets a piece of the pie, not just, of course, rich white people who can monopolize the industry. So, and you want to make sure that it's not only beneficial for the state, but, it's beneficial to some of the communities that were hit hardest to the war on drugs. So that's what, bills like 0032 this year, Jazz Lewis's bill, it has a lot of things in there that are gonna, try to address these issues.
Yes.
So, it's just, of course, one of many fights that we've been having, and they're going to continue to have. And there's many other things that, of course, we could talk about. But I think about politics. When you first want to get involved, you get involved with what's personal to you. You vote for, more personal reasons, right? So, like, that's what I tell everybody, even when they say you don't want to vote, or they feel their vote is disenfranchised. And I say, that could be true. I mean, but at the end of the day, you can't say anything if you didn't try.
Right.
And like with that being said, if you don't vote, I'm not going to go to what my grandparents would have said if somebody died for you. Like, yes, of course, I definitely respect that, and but everyone doesn't. At least not the same. Like everyone doesn't necessarily see the struggle and I guess embrace the struggle that other people have went through. For you to be where you are today, kind of like pay it forward. That's why, of course, like I push all the high school kids, because in the state of Maryland, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds have the right to vote in local municipalities as long as, their charter allows them to vote. So, I mean, there's plenty of municipalities in Prince George's County that have, 16 or 17 years, they have the right to vote, but a lot of them don't know about it. And they say, the registration is low, okay? They don't know about it. These are the future. These are the people who are voting in the 2022 election. And there's going to be a lot of big races. As Juwan knows, there's going to be a lot of young people running. A lot of our friends and colleagues that we've seen develop along the way. So these young people, hopefully, they're also thinking about running, or staffers, or just highly engaged. Like the scariest thing is engagement.
Right.
They really do not like people to be engaged. But you got to just push.
Well, you know what they say? They say if you want to hide something from somebody, write it down or put it in a book.
Yep.
But
so.
What's your thoughts?
No, I mean, I think that you hit everything perfectly. I mean, I try to be very transparent. I if I so happen to be in higher office, governor at some point, I'm going to completely tell the same story. I said the same story when I was on the board, and I told the same story when I was running for office. I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. My mom has worked in one of our school cafeterias since 2004. My great awakening or enlightenment period came when I was a freshman, and that was through poetry. My mentor, Clinton Smith, at the time, he had a big gig. He's part of Teach for America. And so they had this huge gala down in DC my freshman year. And I was honored because he chose me to be somebody to do a group poem with him, an original piece. And so, we had practice every day after school. And, at the time, I mean, I had on a pair of what was socially acceptable for students at Parkdale High School in Riverdale at my age, which was a pair of J's and khaki pants and a green dog kind of beat up long sleeve. And yet I'm wearing this. I mean, granted, I had my suit on my hanger walking into the building, but it was, 5-star hotel. And I go inside and I never forget, I tapped him on the side as we were walking to our hotel room to change. And I said, Mr. Smith, I feel out of touch because everybody's just literally dressed down to the T, just very nice. And he said, Juwan, look, you have your suit. You're fine. You're going to do well. People are going to love you. We got up on that stage. We performed a poem, and that poem was more so talking about the realities that young people like myself that grew up on free and reduced lunch face and inequities and things of that sort based upon your zip code, things of that sort. And from there, that night I got the poem was so powerful. These people thought it was so powerful that, I had different senators walk up to me, different educators. And from that moment on, I realized that I had an obligation as a young Black male to not only let that die and that experience die there, but to not only share that experience with other young people, but say, hey, look, if I have an opportunity to do this and I'm being involved and engaged in politics, then you all have to do the same thing. And then, shortly after that, I mean, we had everything that was going on with Trayvon Martin and then also Eric Gardner. And I never forget, I really got upset one day when I was in class and when I was in school. It was the day after the verdict. I think it was the Michael Brown verdict, and they said that he wasn't going to be indicted. And so I show up to school predominantly Black and Latino. And to be honest, I was just pissed off because all the students that look like me are walking around as if it was a regular day. And I'm like, what are you all doing? So literally for 4 days, I came in there with the sign, just different verbiage, non-verbal verbiage, just expressing my being upset and protesting everything that went on. And I did that so that other students could pay attention. And I noticed that other students were making fun of me at the time. And so I took it up a notch and we ended up doing a die-in, I lie to you not, a die-in around lunchtime at my school. And I'll never forget, God rest her soul, she passed away, but never forget my principal. So we did a complete die-in. We shut down lunches and everything. And I'll never forget, you had security out there. Oh, if you don't get up, you all are going to get expelled. There's just the whole nine. And then, my principal comes out. She's like, Juwan, what are you doing? Everybody get up. And nobody will move. And then from there, we had a school board member also coming in at the time we were doing the die-in. And so she was just so embarrassed, right? Because you have a school member coming in and she's like, okay, well, what's going on? And one thing that stood out to me, her name was Peggy Higgins. She stopped the principal and said, hey, I understand what these young people are doing. Allow them to do it. And I mean, again, ever since then, I've been involved and engaged, and I've always been inquisitive. And I want the whole pie. I don't want the crumbs. I don't want any of that. I want the whole pie. And I get frustrated and I really get furious and fired up when we talk about the inequalities that other young people like me face. A lot of young people, not even young people, but even adults that are lower income, they don't believe that they can be involved and engaged. And I think it goes back to you talking about exposure. For a long period of time, I thought that because I was a certain social class that I could make a difference. But if it wasn't for two mentors and obviously God, then I wouldn't be able to have the bully pulpit that I have now at the age of 22. And it's literally been my life mission since freshman year. And, until I die, that I want to get not only more young people involved, but I want to wake people up, specifically in our community, because we don't have a seat at the table. And you know what they say? Look, if you don't have a seat at the table, then you on the menu. So, I get fired up.
No, totally. I mean, it's so relevant for our industry, for cannabis. Cool. Everything you're saying is it's the epitome of it. So, the industry was built on the backs of brown and Black people. And then the same people that built this infrastructure to prosecute these people are now benefiting from the legalization of it. And Black people are really just being left out. I mean, even if you have, even a middle class, Black family that really has things going on, AKA my family, it's extremely difficult to break into the industry. It was 5 years ago, and it's only gotten harder as time has gone. So that's something that I really, that's what I spend most of my time advocating for in the industry, a fair opportunity for minorities, specifically for Black people and Latinos, because our two communities have been hit the hardest when it comes to cannabis. And there are still, to this day, hundreds of thousands of men and women in jail for cannabis crimes, while, I could order 50 pounds this week to come to my store. So I think that all of these things are super relevant. People need to understand how to leverage their local community, because that's another thing. When you can mobilize a group of people, you can definitely get more impact and more and just more spotlight on your issues. So when you can mobilize a group, that's why I'm excited to be a part of the Young Dems now. Now I have some muscle behind me when I'm talking to a delegate, it could be 15 of us on that call time, and that really helps to move the dial. So I do encourage people to organize together when you have shared initiatives. Anybody interested in learning more about what's happening in Maryland cannabis politics side, definitely reach out to me. I can keep you up to date. Legislative session is happening right now. I'm actually going to be testifying on a bill tomorrow about 280E. And for those of you that don't know 280E, hey, Martin. Those who don't know what 280E is, it's pretty much a part of the Internal Revenue Code that says that cannabis businesses, well, it doesn't say cannabis specifically, businesses that are illegal, federally illegal, cannot write off normal business expenses. So we can't write off payroll, we can't write off our rent, we can't write off our advertising expenses. So I'm sure anyone that runs a small business could understand how costly that could be. We're taxed on our gross revenue. So I'm testifying on a bill that will change that, at least on the state level, tomorrow. So yeah, like these things, I get that it could be intimidating to do it. But it's not, like I said before, these legislators really do want to hear from us. It's not like a situation where you're going to be kind of looked at like you're crazy or anything like that. No, they want to hear from you. Yes, there's a way to do it, that there's a proper way. I had to learn how to speak to people and all that. Go ahead, Martin.
I was going to say join PGCYD. We have a legislative committee.
He's official.
That is very active. They're very active, and they help with access. If there's a legislator that you want to talk to, we have a legislative committee that is, very well informed, and they're well connected, so they could very easily set up a conversation, between that legislator and a group of legislative Young Dem members. So you cover Young
Remember
Dem.
that organization I was talking about, guys? See, there are already groups that are doing it. You can just join their charges and their initiatives. So totally. I mean, I'm so excited about the future of cannabis in the state of Maryland. I'm excited about all of the amazing young people that are coming into politics. I know over like the past 2 or 3 years, we've already started to see a shift, I feel like, in Maryland politics. And it sounds like from hearing what you guys have up your sleeves, that there's going to be quite a few more people kind of inserted into Maryland politics over the next year, young people.
Well, hopefully, Mr. Blocker, he was one of the youngest candidates I know when I was coming around. So,
that laugh.
Hopefully, hopefully Mr. Blocker, who knows?
Yeah,
when you said that at first, I was like, no, not me. But definitely Juwan.
In a couple years.
I'm okay for now. I like being in the background. We'll see at some point. But
okay, or chief of staff.
Say it again.
I said, or a chief of staff for somebody. I can see that too.
I'll definitely take something like that for now. But I'm looking forward to running. If you all decide to run, hope. There's always options. And Martin, of course, got some big plans too. So, yep.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm super excited for the future. And yeah, all the young people that are watching right now, hit us up, reach out to us, join PGCYD. We definitely are excited to move this initiative and to mobilize as a community. And that's the best way to officiate change. So I'm excited to have brought you guys to this space, to introduce you to the cannabis community in Maryland, which is, at the end of the day, like I said, cannabis is so synonymous with politics right now. I mean, they go hand in hand. And me as an operator, I tell people this all the time. If you're not an advocate in the space right now, you're gonna likely fail as an operator. I have the opportunity right now to help shape the laws that govern the industry that I operate in, from a local, state, and federal level. I mean, it's really amazing, and it's unique for a lot of industries to be in this type of infancy. So this is definitely important, and getting involved through an organization like the Young Dems is a great way to insert yourself, especially if you're feeling nervous about how to do it. You don't know where to start and you feel like you have no support. Here's your support. So yeah, I'll let you guys tell everybody where to find you and how to register for PGCYD.
Sure. You could find us on Twitter at PGCYD, at Facebook PGCYD, Instagram PGCYD, even our website pgcyd.com. And we do a lot of events, so definitely sign up, become a member, get added to the email list. When help us help the county, because it's not about us, it's about about all of us. So as she said, let's come together, strategize, and come up with a plan, mobilize and execute. So let's do that, y'all. And that's really all I got to say. I don't know if Juwan has anything else to say.
No, I mean, I think you summed up everything. I mean, I'm on Facebook a lot more and Instagram a lot more than Twitter. Just my name, Juwan Blocker, Blocker. Thanks, Hope.
Yeah, thank you both.
We're giving out personals. Okay, let me.
Yeah, we want to find you too, Martin.
Okay, hold up. Marty McFly _21, like Back to the Future. Instagram, Facebook, Martin Anthony Mitchell. And I just recently got on Twitter. So Laurel _city, Laurel native, hometown hero.
Yes. I mean, I like to claim Bowie, but people make fun of me when I start claiming Bowie.
Hey, be proud. Be proud.
I'm like, I love Bowie. I mean, I had a good little childhood. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. I see Maryland Normal dropped in, and they gave us a link to help lobby your elected officials in your legislative district. So definitely check out their link to see all the cannabis bills that are introduced this year. The big one, like Martin mentioned, is Delegate Jazz Lewis.
But Luke Jones is a hero. Luke Jones is a hero.
Yeah.
Normal. He's a hero.
Yes. And I mean, I need to get them on the show so we can talk more about everything they have going on. I'm gonna reach out to you, Martin, to help me get them on.
I would love to make the connection. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
And
well, guys,
to the community events, hopefully, partnering in the future. I love to do a lot of community events. So we definitely look forward to, I know you help with nonprofits and, your business yourself in the community. So we definitely look forward to it in the future. As our programming guy right there, he already has some events he's thinking about. Who knows?
Well, Marion, Maine is a hub for you. So we are, we're smack dab in the heart of Prince George's County and Capitol Heights. We're not too far from the casino guys. We're not too far from all the fun stuff. So yeah, we're right up the street from Six Flags. And yeah, excited to be a part of this community that I was born and raised in. I mean, it feels really, really great to have started my business here. I didn't think that, honestly, when I moved away, I did not think I was coming back home. So
gorgeous,
I know. You can't get away for too long. Can't stay away for too long. So I'm very proud also to be from Prince George's County, and I'm proud to be a part of the Young Dems as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more with you guys. Thank you both for this conversation tonight. It was awesome. So
thank you.
Yeah, yes, no problem.
We are proud of you. Continue doing great work, and yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, guys, we will be back next week for another episode of The Main Line, 6 p.m. right here. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Periscope, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.